Morning. Um, I know that you all have a lot going on today, and so don't want to put any pressure on you to even discuss anything. Thought we could just get started this morning by having Kirby take us through and Pat take us through sort of the two different versions. But and then maybe we could find another time later this week to actually discuss things. Does that sound good?
It sounds good.
Okay, great. Maybe it'll be a little refreshing palate cleanser later.
So would you like to start with the Senate or House version or the section by section of the House version that I prepared?
Let's start with the Senate version since that was the first one. And we can go through time together. How does that sound?
Okay. So up on the screen for anyone who needs the version. Okay, so S51 as passed by the Senate was an act relating to the Vermont unpaid caregiver tax credit. The only tax credit or concept that was in S51 out of the Senate was the unpaid caregiver tax credit. The House version, as you'll see, has a few different credit changes. So in S51 as passed by the Senate, there were findings establishing the potential need for an unpaid caregiver tax credit and the costs and burdens put onto people who are providing uncompensated care. And then there's a statutory purpose. Let me know if you want me to get.
I think this is perfect. Yeah.
Okay. And then we have the statutory purpose, which is required for all credits and tax expenditures. The purpose here is to provide support to Vermonters who spend significant time providing uncompensated care for a family member. And then we get into the credit itself. I was checking to make sure it's refundable credit. It is. So it's a refundable credit available for resident individuals or part-time, part year resident individuals, with a maximum allowable credit of $1,000 for providing 12 months of uncompensated care. The credit is prorated out or rated out on a monthly basis based on whether or on the number of months that the individual spent giving care for at least 20 hours per week of uncompensated care to an individual. There were a lot of requirements that the individual receiving care had to meet, including being related to the claimant by blood, civil marriage, or adoption, needing assistance with daily activities of daily living, home health care, or assistance remaining safe at home, having a medical diagnosis or a medically diagnosed disability or health condition, and not residing in any version of a nursing home. And so this is subsection B here on page 3 is the proration, and there's a phase out for individuals with AGI exceeding 125,000. And then C and D have to do with potential compliance issues. C says that the individual claiming the credit shall attest that they met all the requirements for the number of months claimed. And under sub D, it provides some authority for the Department of Taxes to look into compliance, including requiring a form to be executed by a medical professional. I'll leave it at that. Okay. So that's it. That's by the Senate.
Then the House.
The House. House proposal of amendment. Um, remove the credit that we were just discussing, and I'm going to scroll down. Don't look at the screen. Renamed the potential acts to an act relating to Vermont income tax exclusions and tax credits. It started off with a tax credit, and the House I'll make it not blue here. What did I do?
But it's not reflect the mood of the bill.
Not just mention. Good.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
Oh, well, that is the greatest
That's-
success today. That would be fine.
Yeah,
Remove the blues.
yeah. Smirked it. Anyway, so the tax credit changes that are now in S51, after the House proposal amendment, is number one. There's a change to the Vermont tax credit, which came from the administration. It was part of H 135, which started as the miscellaneous tax bill. And it's to increase for the child tax credit the age of the qualifying child from 5 to 6 years. The other changes in here are just technical, not substantive. Section 2, substantive change is to start allowing an EITC or individuals who do not have qualifying children to receive 100% of the federal credit. The background here is that the credit's much less for people who do not have qualifying children, so allowing 100% of the federal credit is still less than providing 38% of the credit to individuals who do have qualifying children. And obviously, Pat is the person who could help you best with details on that. And again, the rest of it's technical. Section 3, there are changes to the partial exclusions for retirement income. All of the thresholds for existing exclusions, which is for Social Security benefits, civil service retirement system, and other types of retirement systems that are similar to civil service, where people did not pay into Social Security. For all of those things, Vermont allows Social Security potentially a full exclusion of that income. For the other systems, $10,000 excluded from their income. And so the qualifying thresholds for the amount of AGI a person can have to receive these exclusions is being increased by $5,000 just across all of them. Those are the number changes you see. Under current law, there is also a partial exclusion available for military retirement. What this does is change that so that first, U.S. military survivor benefit income is also included in this exclusion. And then the exclusion itself is significantly increased from current law. So a taxpayer with less than or equal to 125,000 of AGI could exclude all military retirement and survivor benefit income. And then that becomes phased out between AGIs of 125,000 or 75,000. And unlike the other exclusion, under current law, a taxpayer has to choose one to claim. For this expanded exclusion, the taxpayer can take this and one of the other ones. So it's not mutually exclusive of the others. And that's the change to military retirement. And last of all, we have a Vermont veteran credit. It's available to individuals who served in uniformed services and have a service record. It's a credit of up to $250, refundable credit up to $250. for taxpayers in AGI up to 25,000. We qualify, and then there's a phase out between 25,000 of AGI, 30,000 of AGI. And all of this would be effective for tax filings next year.
Anyone have any questions for Chris? Thanks. Appreciate it. Pat, can you take us through the fiscal
Sure.
differences?
I can just talk through it. Back to say my name for the record.
Yes.
Patrick 13 Beneficial Office. So I guess just like quick step back, big picture, the budget accommodates up to $13.5 million worth of tax credits or just revenue reductions. The Senate version of the bill is estimated to be $6 million in foregone revenue. The House bill is fully within the $13.5 million that the budget accommodates. So I can go through each individual change from the so there's only one change in the Senate version. That's the $6 million for the caregiver credit. In the House version, the change to the child tax credit would be 4.5 million. The EITC change would be 3 million. The changes to the Social Security and CSRS income would be 2.1 million. And then the military retirement would be 2.5, veterans is 1.4, total together 13.5 million.
And do folks need more explanation of the EITC thing? It's a little weird. Okay.
Yeah, so basically the genesis or the thought process behind moving the claimants without children up to 100%, but leaving those with children at the existing 38% is that the maximum credit amounts and the income threshold requirements are much lower for people who are claiming the EITC without children. Even by moving from 38 to 100% for those without kids and leaving those with kids at 38, the maximum credit those people could receive is still less than half of someone who's claiming just one child. So it's a big percent change going from 38 to 100%, but the dollar figure only comes out to 3 million in what is otherwise the biggest tax expenditure in personal income tax world. Existing last year, I think the EITC was about $26 million. So, and of that, people without children make up about 5% of the total credit claimed, but they make up about a third of claimants. So just to kind of highlight that it's a really big percent change. The dollar figure is relatively speaking much smaller because those max credits and income eligibility thresholds are much more strict, and they're set at the federal level. So that's why we just take a sort of percent of what it is.
And the bottom of page 2 of the fiscal note has the other down.
I was going to ask if you had any parables.
Okay.
There's
Yeah, go for it.
one question on the policy. Thank you for that background. I would guess that the current federal doesn't have as much for what those people that don't have kids, because and it goes up when they do have kids because kids are really expensive in both time and resources. So I'm just kind of curious. I don't remember what the governor's argument or where you came down with this policy objective to give more of a benefit to those without children.
I think the thinking is that it's still a quite small credit, even when you maximize at 100%. And moving out, there's certainly been proposals about moving outside of the federal definitions over the years, and there are really good arguments for them, but it causes an enormous amount of administrative challenges for the tax department when we have our own definition.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the maximum amount from 640 does.
And the people that qualify for that, married filing jointly, is about $26,000 in their income. So it's fairly low.
Yeah.
It's great.
And that program had been temporarily expanded at the federal government level in 2021, 2022. So we had significantly more claimants in those years, and then it dropped back down to where we are now.
That is a pretty comprehensive presentation we should look at today or another time, but let me go deeper into it. Or report, is there?
There's a report from 2 years ago.
Okay. Anyone else need anything? Okay, thanks.
And you removed our credit
Indeed,
because
both there was sort of a commitment to these other credits and the administrative challenges of the credit that you put forward seemed like a lot to surmount with tax department. I think there's also a question about how it lines up with the dependent care credits. Or marketing.
That's where I could use some more perspective on the dependent care credit, how that might like, both with Patrick, we can down the next meeting.
Sure. Thanks.
we can get committee testimony. Okay,
Thank you.
that's it. Thank you.
Source should be public binder. Okay. And then maybe on the other side of some other stuff, we can have our next meeting.
Yes.